We are 13 months late, but we need to welcome the FBI to Kansas City. How we doing? Good morning. Happy Thursday. It's 6:04. Thanks for starting your morning with us right here on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM, or streaming as always on our app, the iHeart app, or of course your Alexa or Google Home. So the FBI has been in Kansas City investigating the Mayor Pro Tem, Brianna Parks Shaw, and her husband, Michael Shaw, the Director of Public Works, going back 13 months. So before anybody says, oh, boy, Trump's FBI is looking into blue cities. Nope. This goes back to January of 2025, when the last guy was still in charge.
Come on, man.
Okay? I mean, unless Trump gets inaugurated on like January 20th, and within 10 days, he's like, go to Kansas City, check out the Mayor Pro Tem. I'm pretty sure there's nothing political about this. But credit to Fox 4 reporter Malik Jackson with the news yesterday. That was big stuff.
Malik Jackson, our favorite reporter.
Malik did great work yesterday with this breaking news that the FBI is investigating Mayor Pro Tem Brianna Parks Shaw and her husband, who is the Director of Public Works. So before we get to some of Malik Jackson's reporting here, if you don't know the background of this story, Brianna Parks Shaw has been Mayor Pro Tem under Mayor Lucas for quite some time. She is running for mayor in 2027. She has wanted to be mayor for a very long time. Her director, or her husband, Michael, is the Director of Public Works. So, right away, there's always been a conflict there, right? I mean, just on its face, think about it. Give it thought for 2 seconds. And if nothing else, you have a wife voting on her husband's budget as the Director of Public Works. You have conflicts across various departments, right? And now, according to Malik Jackson's reporting, what you also have here is the husband hitting up potential donors for his wife's campaign. And let's be honest, there could be a little wink, wink, nod, nod going on here when it comes to political donations in exchange for, let's see what I can do for you on certain projects. Here's Fox 4 last night.
Do you have any response to people saying that you are using this office and his position for the professional and personal gain?
Yeah, it's not true.
Mayor Pro Tem Brianna Parks Shaw, who has already announced she's running for mayor, and her husband Michael Shaw, the current Public Works Director, under the microscope. All of the people we spoke with are current or former city employees who fear retaliation that could affect their careers. They tell us their interviews with the FBI all centered on the same line of questioning. Did the Mayor Pro Tem and her husband use their combined authority for their own financial and professional gain? The FBI would not confirm or deny the existence of an investigation, which is their standard practice.
Okay, so the FBI obviously not talking. Brianna Parks Shaw saying there to Malik Jackson, Fox 4 last night, that, hey, there's nothing there's nothing to see. Don't worry about it. Everything's good. It's all on the up and up. But we are 13 months into this investigation. And the federal government obviously has the jurisdiction to oversee abuse of power, abuses of positions, and the fact that, according to Malik Jackson, all the people that he's spoken with are current or former city employees who fear retaliation that could impact their careers. Well, that tells you right now that there are whistleblowers all across Kansas City government. Now, who would be motivated by this? Because I was thinking about that last night. Who is motivated by this news coming out? Is it personal vendettas? Or is it someone doing it for political reasons? Somebody wanting to maybe knock her down or out of the mayoral race ahead of next year? I don't think it's that. I don't. Then I thought of their Republicans at the state level who, for some reason, had some beef. No, I don't think it's that either. It appears to be disgruntled employees who knew too much, who wanted to blow the whistle, and knew that this was inherently wrong. And that's how we end up with the FBI for the better part of 13 months being here in Kansas City investigating the mayor pro tem. And you've got the city manager, Mario Vasquez, saying, yesterday to Fox 4 that, he's aware of what's going on here.
That Michael Shaw had sent emails from his personal account soliciting contributions to his wife's mayoral campaign from people who were seeking permits from the city, permits that had not yet been approved.
Is that appropriate behavior?
I don't have any direct knowledge of that, but no, if that is the case, that's definitely inappropriate.
Today, City Manager Mario Vasquez confirmed for Fox 4 that 6 months ago, the city received a grand jury subpoena for records of contracts and vendors.
I'm in a difficult spot, given the relationship of the director and Mayor Pro Tem. But that notwithstanding, I think it's still my responsibility to take it up with the director, and I will do that.
All right, so that was Mario Vasquez. And don't forget, there's an interesting backstory here that Mario Vasquez, who is now the city manager in Kansas City, he replaced Brian Platt a couple of years ago now. Rihanna Park Shaw did not want Mario Vasquez to be the city manager. She had her preferred choice, who was also already an internal candidate, but Mario Vasquez ultimately got the job. So that's an interesting part of this as well. But the investigation, I'm trying to think. Vasquez has been there. Has it been that long? Or was it just, no, I guess it was just last year he got in there. So the investigation predates him. But obviously he's now got to do something about it. Although he does not, as I understand it, have the power to fire someone who's like the director of public works. But Mayor Lucas is going to be on the show at 7:30 this morning. So you know what we have to ask him, right? You know where that conversation has to go. Right out of the gates, and that's his mayor pro tem being investigated by the FBI. And for those of you asking on the text line, what is the mayor pro tem? Consider it like the vice mayor. How's that sound? Basically, number 2, selected by the mayor as his essentially vice mayor, his ally on the city council on all things. So that's what the mayor pro tem is here, and that's what Rihanna Park Shaw has been for the last few years. So now we just wait and see how this thing plays out, and who knows how long it drags on with the FBI.
If something happened to Lucas, she would step in, right?
Yeah, she'd be the head honcho there. So I'm trying to think who it was a few years back under Sly James. It was Scott Wagner, our buddy up north, who was the mayor pro tem towards the end of the Sly James era. So there you go. That's something to keep a very close eye on here as we go through the next several weeks and see how this plays out for next year's Kansas City mayoral race. It's going to be wild, man. I thought this thing was going to be maybe a little mundane, but nope. Now we got people investigated by the FBI running for mayor in Kansas City. Top that one, all right? So speaking of things that we said yesterday we'd follow up on here on the show, I did get an update from some people regarding the arsonist in South Kansas City. The lady who lit the building on fire that was potentially going to be a location for ICE. And then, of course, the owners of the building decided they were not going to sell to ICE. But the lady didn't get the news, and she tried to light the building on fire. What was that, 2 Thursdays ago, I think it was now? Gosh, these days just roll right into each other, don't they? So anyway, talked to some sources yesterday, and it is still full steam ahead on the investigation. The feds are handling this. U.S. Western District of Missouri is on it. They have not backed off it. It has nothing to do with the locals. This is not Jackson County. This is not Kansas City getting in the way. The feds just want to make sure that they've got everything buttoned up before they go ahead with charges. Okay? But trust me, they're on it. There are meetings happening between all the parties involved, and it has not been forgotten about. It has not fallen by the wayside. It is moving full steam ahead. It's just, this stuff takes time. I know we see it on TV and we think of it, and I'm guilty of this as anybody. We think of it as like a Law and Order episode or something like that. Hey, come on, it's been like 7 days. We got the video of the person. Trust me, they know who it is. All right, they're dealing with it, and they just want to make sure this case is completely buttoned up before they announce any specific charges. But there's nothing nefarious going on here. Nothing whatsoever. So I've got that on very good authority. Nothing nefarious in that case. It's just the process. So hang with the process. 913-408-7957 is how you join us here on KCMO. We have a busy local news morning. So for the last week and a half, what have I said about ICE? If they're in Kansas City, we got to know what's going on, right? When they detain people, it should not be hard for us to figure out what's going on. There's two sides to all of these stories, and we're not getting them. Well, yesterday, we started to get one of the other sides of the story as to why ICE was in Olathe 2 weekends ago and what actually happened with those two teenagers who were reportedly briefly detained. What do we know about it? We'll share with you next right here on KCMO Talk Radio. For 2 weeks now, I've been saying that DHS has to do a better job of letting local media know who they're detaining and why they detain somebody, because if not, they lose the narrative. If not, they get the sob stories of the lady who's filming some detainment in Lawrence, Kansas, being like, oh, boy, what's going on here at El Potro? This is totally unfair, without anybody actually knowing what happened or what these guys did. You get the two teenagers from a couple of weekends ago at K7 in Santa Fe at the Walmart out there who, get to go on Channel 9, KMBC, and be like, oh, boy, I don't know. We were just thrown to the ground by these ICE officers. Oh, my gosh, the Gestapo's here. And people get outraged. They see the story, and they never get a full picture. Well, now we're getting a full picture as to what exactly happened at that Olathe Walmart and why these two teenage boys were briefly detained. So, story came out from the Kansas City Star yesterday with some details. I give them credit for that. And then I started talking to some people yesterday saying what actually happened in Olathe at the Walmart a couple of weekends ago, because all we had was this side of the story from one of the teenagers. There was a 19-year-old and a 14-year-old. They were brothers, right? And they said, hey, we were just going to the Walmart to meet our girlfriend. And, before you know it, we're being thrown on the ground by ICE. This was their side of the story. And now almost 2 weeks later, we're getting a fuller picture as to what actually happened.
One of the ICE agents proceeded to try to hit us, and my brother tried to, move around and not get hit by the cars.
The duo says they were followed by ICE to Walmart and were confronted by agents once they parked in the street.
The ICE agent proceeded to point a gun at my head and say, get the out the car.
The guy that took me out the car tried to grab me from my neck and pull me out. When I got to the floor, he put both of his knees on me, on my back.
Okay. So people see that story a couple of weeks ago out of Olathe, and of course it's like, oh my gosh, here we go. Here's ICE. So what actually happened? Or at least what is the other side of the story? The other side of the story is that ICE agents were trying to conduct surveillance on a target, and these two brothers in their vehicle were harassing them. Then ICE agents ran the tags on the car that these two brothers were in, and those tags were associated with a previously deported individual. So think about that. ICE was not chasing down these two kids. They didn't know who these two teenagers were. These two teenagers, per the other side of the story, are basically, doing their little thing, harassing these ICE agents and whatnot. And then they're like, all right, let's run the license plate on these guys and see what's going on here. And they get a hit of somebody who had previously been deported being tied to the tags on that vehicle. Now, according to my sources at the U.S. Attorney's Office in Kansas, only one was detained for a few hours, the older brother who was 19, not the 14-year-old younger brother. He was not detained. And then the older one eventually got released. Why? ICE determined that he was not the illegal reentry individual associated with the vehicle and that he was a U.S. citizen. So they released him. So let's go through that chain of events again. ICE is targeting someone that's totally irrelevant to these two teenagers. These two teenagers, allegedly, are then following, harassing ICE. ICE runs the plates on these two guys. They get a hit for someone who had, been in the country illegally. And then they suddenly detain these two guys. thinking, hey, maybe one of them is tied to the vehicle that has someone who is here illegally connected to it. And then they learn, no, the younger brother, U.S. citizen, the older brother, U.S. citizen, they let him go. But it all started, allegedly, because these guys were tracking down and following ICE and harassing ICE. That never made it to the news. That never got brought up by local news in any meaningful way, right? That wasn't something that any of us saw. And as I was talking to people in law enforcement, they noted that they declined to file charges. So there's nothing else that's going to happen at all. These two guys just, wipe their hands clean and away they go. But this is the problem. The narrative got out and the correction on the back end, or at least two sides of the story coming out on the back end, is a week and a half late. How many people are actually going to know ICE's side of the story here? The other side of the allegations? Versus how many people saw the news report on Channel 9. And I'm not blaming Channel 9 for this, by the way. They reached out to ICE and they didn't get a statement back. It took them a week and a half to actually get back and be like, oh, here's what happened here. That's not Channel 9's fault. I'm not knocking them for it. But the main part of the story gets all the attention, and the correction, or the other side, never gets as much attention as the original accusation. And we've got, a teenage boy on local news being like, I don't know what happened to me. Oh, no, they threw me to the ground. This is such a shame. I'm a victim. And maybe that's not the case anymore, John.
Hands up, don't shoot.
Yeah, there is an element to that here that needs to be brought into the conversation. You're right. So it's this stuff where the DOJ has got to be able to think a couple of steps ahead here on this. And I did voice this concern. I said to some people in law enforcement and, on the judicial side, I said, listen, you guys got to do a better job with all this. And here's the problem, and I understand this. But you've got the DOJ, which reports to the Attorney General, and then you have ICE reporting to DHS. So you have these two massive bureaucracies that end up trying to work together, but you get huge bureaucratic logjams with these two operations. Think about it. DOJ, DHS, massive government agencies that also need to kind of work together on this stuff. And then you have all these middlemen, all these middlewomen in these massive bureaucracies, and it takes forever to get information out there. So that's how you end up with these issues and these concerns. And it's also why stuff seems to take so long to develop and so long to move forward. 913-408-7957. Pete, Americans get detained, arrested, and released by police every single day. Why are some on the left only throwing a fit when it involves ICE? Well, because it's political. That's why. I know you're asking that question rhetorically. I'm just answering it, stating the obvious for those that aren't picking up on it. But yeah. On the text line, Pete, once again, chase a tornado and you could get hurt. Yes, but this is even worse. At least there's some benefit to tornado chasing. You could get a cool video or photo out of it. What are you chasing ICE for? Like, what are you doing? Who are you saving here? Or are you just bored? And where are the parents in all this, too, of a 14-year-old minor now that, they have a kid who's out there following ICE around Olathe? What's that say? Man. Coming up on KCMO Talk Radio, we've got drama on both sides of our state line with a port. And what can Kansas learn from Missouri on this front next? 6:34, good morning. Let's start on the Kansas side of the state line here, where the chief story that just won't go away has a minor update to it. And that is today in Topeka, in the House, they're going to be voting on amendment to amendment to amendment of the bill of the bill of the bill. I'm not even going to get into the details on that because it makes my own head spin. Never mind yours at 6:30 in the morning. I won't go there. But the House will be voting today to move ahead with a bill that will give Wyandotte County the ability to establish a port authority. So remember, John, you're always asking about, wait, but I thought these ports have to be near water and stuff. Oh, come on. That's just a name, man. That's all it is.
I was guessing whether Kill Creek was involved in this or not.
Oh, man. They're ports in name only. That's what they are. Mm-hmm. That's it. Pinos, we'll call them. That's the name of the game.
It's a port because they're shipping your tax dollars all over the place, right?
Bingo. With very little oversight. That's why they are ports. Well done there. That's fantastic. So this is going to give Wyandotte County the ability to establish a port authority ahead of the Chiefs Stadium deal being finalized. What will this do? Basically allow Wyandotte County to have another lever of dishing out taxpayer monies with very little oversight. That's what the Port Authority is in Kansas City, let's be clear. It's incentives on top of incentives. And while I said yesterday, and it's true, I mean, people like sit here and think I'm like the anti-incentives guy. I don't view myself that way. I'm not a fan of incentives that don't make sense, that are overkill, that are too much money. I can understand once in a while why you might need to use them to lure a business to the Kansas City area, to either side of our state line. I can get it. I understand it. But, man, the way that the system's been massively abused all over the place is out of hand in Kansas and Missouri. So now, you think it's going to be great in Wyandotte County? You think Wyandotte County is going to be, oh, my gosh, windfall of money. It's going to be fantastic. Property taxes are going down. Chiefs are coming here. This is going to be a gold mine for us. When they want to establish a port authority, that's never a good sign. All it is another tool to dish out more incentives. That's it. And by the way, this will pass in the House, I'm sure. I'm sure it'll be, for the most part, pretty bipartisan. So Republicans and Democrats are largely, I believe, set to screw Wyandotte County even harder. If you are a Wyandotte County resident right now, you can call your representative, your House rep, your state rep, and it doesn't matter if you're a Republican, they're a Democrat, or you're a Democrat, they're a Republican. It doesn't matter. These issues are very rarely falling along party lines. It's more about people who want to be part of the in crowd and those who don't care. And those who want to be part of the in crowd will vote for this bill. We'll move it forward. Those who don't care about the in crowd, those who are doing it by and large, I believe for the right reasons, trying to be independent thinkers, will say, nah, not doing this anymore. No way, no how. So don't think that any of this falls along party lines, because it doesn't. There are very conservative people who see this deal for the scam that it is. There are very liberal people who see this deal for the scam that it is. It's not party line thinking. So if you're in Wyandotte County and, you want a port authority, then today's your lucky day. For most people who are like, I'll pass, well, you know what? Barring some absolute shocker of a vote today in the House, Wyandotte County is now going to be allowed to have a port authority. And that's obviously all tied to the Chiefs Stadium deal. Now, speaking of port authorities, on the Missouri side of the state line, we've got this story here. Port KC wants more power. Are you seeing your future, Wyandotte County? Do you see how this is played? This is now a largely unregulated bureaucracy appointed by the mayor, can do whatever the mayor really wants them to do, and can use added incentives on top of the city council with very little oversight. That's what this is. And now Port Kansas City wants more power, John.
So think of it as your city council with a burner account?
Yes. Yes, that's exactly what it is. Oh, man. So the story here in the Kansas City Star, a pair of bills winding their way through the Missouri Capitol would give the Port Authority of Kansas City, or Port KC, the ability to oversee projects across the sprawling 4 counties that touch Kansas City. So forget being within a stone's throw of any kind of body of water. You just got to be in one of the 4 counties that touch Kansas City. What a deal.
Oh, and they may lean on you hard about your deal with them. So
Yes.
Keep that in mind.
Ask the Anderson brothers about that in South Kansas City. Okay? I mean, they would also hand the agency the extraordinary power to establish its own armed police force called Port Rangers.
Oh, brother.
Sounds like a TV show, doesn't it? From like the 80s? Port Rangers, tonight at 8. Man, what is that? Port Rangers?
Going to get a ticket down at CPKC Stadium in the parking lot from a Port Ranger.
Yeah, you're going to be like 6 inches over the line or something in a parking spot. Got hit by the Port Rangers tonight.
Buddy, you paid for one space.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, my good. And where's that money coming from, by the way? To give Port KC the ability to create its own police force? I mean, city's running in the red here right now. What is going on? So this is something also that is getting promotion on both sides of the aisle. One version of a bill filed by Senator Curtis Gregory, a Marshall Republican, could be headed to the Senate floor after passing a committee earlier this month. Another, filed by Representative Mike Steinmeier, a Sugar Creek Republican, is awaiting vote in a House committee. So 2 Republicans are the ones pushing for this, as I understand it in the bill, or in the Kansas City Star article. I don't get it. I don't know what's going on here. I really don't. Mike Talboy, a former state lawmaker who now serves as the political director of the Greater Kansas City Building and Construction Trades Council, said, quote, expanding a jurisdiction when we're having serious problems with how they operate inside the jurisdiction they already have is a non-starter for us. Thank you for pointing out the obvious.
Give me that bumper sticker.
Yeah. They can't do the job well in Kansas City. These guys are a couple of weeks removed from threatening private business owners in Kansas City over the possibility that they were going to sell their building to the federal government to be used as an ICE detention center as a completely legal transaction. There are rumors and rumblings that leadership inside of Port KC was behind the big push in the media to basically, I don't want to say threaten these individuals, but make it very unappealing for them to sell to ICE, to sell to the feds. And now, for some reason, we've got people inside of Jefferson City, inside of the Capitol, who are Republicans who know the Kansas City area well and frankly should know better, who are out there who want to give these guys more power.
And a police force.
And a police force. And a Port Ranger.
That's right.
Port Ranger.
I should watch out with our terms there. I'm playing fast and loose with police force.
Yes. The Port Ranger. Got to get it right. What is going on? And if your attitude is, and your thought to this is, well, Port KC is better off doing this incentive stuff than, let's say, the Kansas City, Missouri City Council. Are we now in a tallest midget conversation here? And at least the city council is elected. Okay? At the very least, at least they're elected. They're not appointed. They're not working shady deals behind closed doors. The mayor gets to pick everybody who's on that port board for the most part. So you're telling me that that's a better system? That that's what Kansas City taxpayers should be excited about? A port having more control and more authority? Nah. Nope. No thanks. Well, I hope we can get this all figured out in the next couple of months. Partial government shutdown could impact Kansas City's plans for the World Cup. Yeah, Republicans and Democrats are at odds over funding the Department of Homeland Security. We've been following that, obviously, since the partial shutdown happened. We're going on 2 weeks ago now. Well, the department oversees Border Patrol and, of course, ICE. And the federal government has not released monies it's supposed to in our area. In total for the World Cup, about $80 million in federal money has been secured, according to Emmanuel Cleaver.
You muster moo.
So we got to get the money, though. And this week you had Joe Mabin, deputy chief of KCPD, in Washington, D.C. I also know that Carl Oakman, the Kansas City, Kansas police chief, was there as well. And Mabin spoke in front of the U.S. House of Representatives Homeland Security Committee, and he made it clear that when it comes to this money coming to Kansas City, we need it to put on a good and safe, most importantly, a good and safe World Cup. Here's what Joe Mabin had to say.
The FIFA funding would be critical for our staffing and our mutual aid partners to come in and assist, because we just don't have enough officers within my own department to cover down on all the threats. But we're going to be relying on those mutual aid partners and connections.
Okay, so they obviously need help from all over the region to put on a safe World Cup. Between Arrowhead, between the base camps, between transportation, between the fan fests, I mean, it is going to be a zoo. I really think it's going to be bigger than the NFL draft just because there's more moving parts. Let's be honest, you're going to have dignitaries from other countries who are going to be here. They're going to need their special treatment from law enforcement. They're going to need their escorts. I don't agree with it, but I'm just saying we know that's how it's going to work, right? So we do need the funding. And right now it's not there. Now, last week we talked to Pam Kramer. She is the CEO of KC 2026, the organization that is basically organizing the World Cup for both sides of the state line. The whole concept of KC 2026 was a really good idea because without it, we'd be stuck with the politicians trying to run the show. So now we actually have serious business people who basically told the politicians, we got it, we'll take care of this, and they're fundraising around it. They are obviously organizing different events. They're doing transportation. They're in charge of everything. And thank goodness for KC 2026, because I promise you, without KC 2026, this World Cup would be an absolute mess. And it was Andrew Giuliani, the son of Rudy, who's the head of the FIFA World Cup Task Force for the administration. He was here, about a month ago or so. He was on the shows right here in studio. And he made it clear that Kansas City is ahead of the curve on a lot of the planning things that are happening around the World Cup, and he credited the group KC 2026, so that's good. But one thing that Pam Kramer did note is that they're still fundraising as well. Now, that doesn't mean that they need you to chip in $10, okay? It's not like this is a GoFundMe. They need the big swingers to come out in Kansas City and give some big checks for KC 2026. This is not crowdfunding. This is not the GoFundMe pages or anything like that. They need the big donors to step up, and they still are trying to fundraise with 120, 150 days to go until the World Cup actually gets underway here in Kansas City. So between these two things, I'm not saying it's a dire situation right now, but I just heard from multiple people in law enforcement this week, some who were in D.C., some who were just on the outside looking in of what was going on in D.C., saying, hey, if the feds don't get their act together with their funding, if we don't get fully funded by KC 2026, there's going to be a problem here. And you already have tens of millions of dollars being chipped in by both sides of the state line in Kansas and Missouri to make this World Cup thing work out well. So it's not like in a dire situation right now, but it's definitely something that is worth watching. Now, I don't want to ruin your morning here. I'm not trying to do that. But I had multiple people on the text line just inform me here that if you want to see it this morning, property values are out on the Johnson County Appraiser website. So if you go to the website ims.jocogov.org/location services, and I'll put it up on social media, you can look up your address and you can see how much your property has gone up in value according to the county. And, of course, that will have an impact on your property taxes. Mark's already going in there. Mark's trying to ruin his morning. Mark, it's only 7:09. We got 3 hours left, big boy. Don't do it. Don't do it to yourself. All right, fine, do it. Tell me what you see. Because I put mine in here a couple of minutes ago. You can check out how much your appraisal is up in Johnson County, Kansas. And I put mine into the system, and I am up 7% year over year. Now, considering the housing market has actually softened, considering we have a record number of sellers compared to buyers right now in the market, we have 600,000 more people in the country trying to sell their homes right now than there are people trying to buy homes right now. Not that it's a soft housing market, but it's not as crazy as it's been the last few years. These numbers, and this is just me anecdotally speaking about my house, these numbers don't make any sense to me at all. But you can see it there. You can see last year's number compared to this year's number, and you can see the percentage change on the right side in that box there. Did you do it yet, Mark? Did you do it?
It only went up 1.45% at my house.
1.45%. Okay.
Which is a lot different than it's been. We've been there about 5 years now, and it's gone up over $100,000 in 5 years.
Which on a percentage is probably 30, 40%, give or take? 30% probably?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay, so I'm up 7%. And I'm looking at these numbers, and frankly, I don't think they're right. Now, we can appeal them, obviously. You'll have a chance to do that. But this is getting Jackson County-esque in Johnson County. And this is my plea to Topeka. Get to work on the property tax issue. Everyone's got their own idea. I don't care what you guys do, but get to it. And it's not just on the appraisals. Ultimately, it's also about how the appraisal impacts your property taxes, right? The appraisal is kind of a meaningless number. Where you actually feel it is how it impacts your property taxes. And you can see if you're on the page and you click on View Pay Taxes right above the appraised value part on the page on the Johnson County website, you can see what your property taxes have been going back the last few years. And in 2019, compared to now, I mean, my property taxes have gone up 50%, 5-0, not 1.5, 50% the last 5-6 years. And I'm sure that's the case for many people in Johnson County right now. So everything on this front's getting more expensive. What does that mean too? That means your homeowner's insurance is getting more expensive in the process. So all of these things are happening right now in real time, and Topeka is doing very little. Don't worry, though. They're making sure the Chiefs get their tax abatement in Wyandotte County, okay? They're going to be fine. Property taxes for the Chiefs, $7 million a year. They get to put their property taxes into a slush fund to keep the stadium up to date. Imagine if you didn't have to pay property taxes and you could take your $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, whatever your property taxes are, and you could put it into a fund to update your home when you needed a new roof, when you needed new siding, when you needed new windows. And you could just put that money into a little separate account, and you could use it to update your house as you see fit. That's a deal. That's the deal the Chiefs are getting. You? No, not you. Not me. Our taxes just keep going up 50% the last few years. And Topeka does nothing about it. Nothing. But don't worry. All these guys are going to come around, run for governor, tell you how great they are, tell you what an amazing job they've done. And what do you get to do? You get to hold their bag. That's what you get to do. So once again, don't ruin your morning with the website, but if you want to take a look, you can. I'm just here to be the messenger. ims.jocogov.org/location services. Oh, my goodness. On the text line, Pete, I purchased my house 12 years ago for $125,000. Now the county says it's worth almost $450,000. Absolutely outrageous. Many of you saying you're up 10 to 20%. Some of you are over 20% on your appraisals. I'm telling you, Johnson County is going to ruin itself. It is. It's going to ruin itself. And you know what? You keep voting for some of these people, you're going to get more of this stuff. 913-408-7957. Mayor Lucas will be here at 7:30. We will also have that next text-to-win keyword, second to last day, to win tickets to go see Blake Shelton in Las Vegas, 7:35 here on KCMO. The Bill O'Reilly Morning Update, and then a fascinating announcement from our good friend Bill O'Reilly. We'll share that with you next. Mayor Lucas is 10 minutes away on KCMO Talk Radio. As we find out yesterday from Fox 4, the FBI is investigating his mayor pro tem, Rihanna Parks Shaw. Do not miss that conversation coming up. We were just talking to you about what's going on in Johnson County. This morning, the website that will give you your appraised value in Johnson County, Kansas, is up. It's active. I want to give you the right frame of mind before you go check it out, but you can go check it out this morning if you want. It's ims.jocogov.org/location services. Let's go to you. Let's go to Steve, who is in Shawnee. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, Pete. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I was doing well until I saw my appraisal was up 7%, but I'm still doing okay.
Well, you're number 2. That counts for something.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. What's going on, my man?
Well, when I had a mortgage, my property tax and homeowner's insurance was all part of my mortgage payment. So my taxes, how high they were, really didn't come to mind. But now that my home is paid off, and I have to pay my taxes on my own, my tax bill gives me a breakdown of about 10 different categories that my tax dollars go to. Last year was, I believe, $4,500. Of that, there were 4 categories for the DeSoto School District, which totaled over $3,000. And there was only, $300 or $400 going to the state. I'm thinking, my gosh, 3/4 of my taxes are going to a school district that are producing morons. This is ridiculous.
Steve, you're not alone, man. I mean, everyone in Kansas, thanks for the nice words, thanks for the call. Everyone in Kansas gets that breakdown. Even if you don't do what you just did and you don't have a paid-off home, at the end of the year, you should get a breakdown, which is one of the few good things that the Kansas legislature has actually done in recent years. You get a breakdown of where every dollar goes from your property taxes. It'll be your city, it'll be your state, it'll be the county, and then it'll be all the school district money. And you're right. I was actually looking at it over the weekend out of curiosity, and mine was, I think, like 50% went to the schools. And then, Johnson County was probably, I think Olathe was number 2, Johnson County 3, and then the state portion's nothing. I think my state portion was like $100. It's nothing. So when these guys and gals in Topeka say we want to eliminate the property tax, that's not really a break. The property tax going to the state is a fraction of your property tax bill. It's mostly for the schools, for the city, and then for your county, depending on which county you're in. But if you're Johnson County, Kansas, and you've doubled your budget over the last 5-6 years, you've gone from a $900 million budget to a $1.8, $1.9 billion budget. Well, guess what? Who do you think's footing the bill? The taxpayer. And that is going to be paid off in your property taxes. So you're right, but everyone can see that data. You'll get it in the mail. I think at the end of the year is when you get that, and you'll see the breakdown. But now that these appraisals are coming out in Johnson County as of this morning, I'm telling you, man, they may lower the mill. Here's what's going to happen. Whether it's Johnson County, whether it's Overland Park, any of the cities, even the school district, they may lower the mill rate, but they'll get more money. Your property taxes are going up. But they'll try to look like the good guys by saying, we lowered the mill rate. Yeah, and they got more money. No one pays taxes off of a mill rate. They pay it off of real dollars. But that's part of the game that gets played here. Before I get to Mayor Lucas, you heard Bill O'Reilly's morning update there. Bill was on last night with Chris Cuomo on News Nation, and he shared this big news. Take a listen.
A week from tonight, I'm going to do the hour, the whole Cuomo hour, and I'm bringing back the O'Reilly factor. Okay, I'm bringing it back. A week from tonight, you can't miss this. When you see the cast that we've assembled, you're going to be jealous.
It's going to be a lot of, it's going to be the Everybody Hates Chris show. Bill O'Reilly, thank you very much. Thank you for subbing in. Thank you for being here tonight, and I'll be talking to you.
Chris Cuomo, first off, I give him credit for letting Bill O'Reilly fill in next week on News Nation. You got to have, in this business, you got to have confidence to let someone who has had Bill O'Reilly's success fill in for you. Typically, when you want someone to fill in, you don't want someone who's got the history, the cachet of Bill O'Reilly. It's just, radio, TV, it doesn't matter. You really don't want the fill-in guy to outshine the regular guy. Just a fact. But I guarantee you, Bill O'Reilly is going to have a monster night next Wednesday when he fills in for Chris Cuomo and does kind of his own version, I would imagine, of the O'Reilly factor. So that's going to be fun to watch. All right, I just got done with Mayor Lucas, of course, Thursday morning slot, and we talked about briefly the State of the Union, and, he said he wants to go back to a time of John McCain and Obama and stuff like that. Well, I want to go back to a time when what Trump was saying 2 nights ago was the same thing Bill Clinton was saying 30 years ago.
First duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens.
Not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country. The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants. The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers. That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more, by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before, by cracking down on illegal hiring, by barring welfare benefits to illegal aliens. In the budget I will present to you, we will try to do more to speed the deportation of illegal aliens who are arrested for crimes, to better identify illegal aliens in the workplace.
Hello? Literally the same thing. That's all it is. That was the 1995 State of the Union. Same thing that was said 2 nights ago. That's it. All right, Stephen in Johnson County. I'm going to squeeze in a couple of calls here. Stephen, go.
Hey, how's it going? I'm going to go straight to my point. Well, that State of the Union address was, I told you the other day, was very good. The problem that I noticed the most, that stood out me the most, is that when he asked them to stand if they agree with what he said about defending the American people first, the Democrats sat. And this mayor, I like him. He's nice, but the more he's in office, the more I lose it for him, because listen, it's not about what you feel. You're there to represent the people that elected you. How do you go and make provisions for people who came here illegally, but then you allow other people who elected you to be in the back of the bus? That stuff really big with me. The second thing I want to say is that when you come here illegally.
Yeah. All right, Steve, I got it, buddy. I want to get in a couple other people. You're right, though. You're right, man. You're listen, no argument from me. Tony, go ahead. You're on KCMO.
Yeah, I listened to that interview, Pete, and thanks, by the way, for a lot of the questions you asked to kind of probe the mayor. But an interesting thing to me, first he insinuates that you can't stand and unite around something, but yet we all need to stand and unite around something. Secondly, he suggests that somehow Omar has something great to offer. Third, he suggests that Trump might be best off to align somewhat with Mondani. Kind of lets us know who Mayor Q is in bed with politically, and it's kind of scary that a mayor from a town like Kansas City in the Midwest would promote that of the left side of politics.
Thank you, Tony. Listen, I think that my interpretation of what the mayor said there in part was, to make it clear, I think he's going to run for something here. I do. Even if it's as a sacrificial lamb, I think he enjoys the politics. I think he enjoys the campaigning. I think he enjoys the handshakes, being on the road. And I do think he's going to do it. And I think that's why you've seen the political nature of what he's done here the last few weeks on some of these things. I think it's been calculated.